Good Friday saw Jean and I off on a mystery tour with Barnes Coaches. We were picked up from our homes by a feeder minibus at 7:30 a.m. and taken to Cirencester, where we met up with the rest of the travellers and got on the coach. After travelling through the scenic Cotswolds, we arrived at Royal Leamington Spa for our lunchtime stop. Leamington Spa is set on the winding River Leen. It's known for its Regency architecture and broad boulevards. This is the colonnaded Royal Pump Rooms, a 19th century bathhouse. It now houses the Leamington Spa Art Gallery and Museum. Jepsom Gardens is a park with formal flower beds and a glasshouse for tropical plants. There are plenty of exhibits and the gardens were in full bloom. Boats could be hired for dads to row up as far as the old mill. We just missed a pedalo in the shape of a car being pedalled up the river. We visited the glass house where there were plants from all parts of the world. This tree's gone mad. Don't know what it is. Here is black bamboo. And then to a bottle of books. It was then time to have a quick coffee before rejoining the coach for our ultimate destination, which was the Holiday Inn in Derby, which is the home of the Derby Rams football team. This was our hotel, which resembled the prow of a ship. Our room was on the 3rd floor, so we had a good view over the rooftops of Derby. This shot shows how close we were to the River Derwent, which flows through the city of Derby. Just coming into the hotel. Yes, go along to the river. An example of the Derby Ram with what I assume to be a football player on its back. This is the River Derwent. We had time before dinner for a quick recce of the river and its attractions, which included a river walk in both directions and a weir. The Canada geese seem to be everywhere nowadays. We followed the river downstream under the road bridge to where the path divided. According to the signpost, we could walk along as far as a bird reserve, but time was against us, and our evening meal was at 6:30, so we turned around and returned to the hotel. The next day saw us off on the coach for a ride round the Peak District, ending up at Lady Bower Reservoir, west of Sheffield, where a valley had been flooded to supply water for the cities in the area. There were several walking routes, but we didn't have time to go too far, but we did make it to the dam and looked over to the valley floor on the other side. You can imagine how deep this must be now. Back on the coach for our lunchtime stop in Buxton, which is another spa town at some 1,000 feet above sea level. As you can see, the streets were very busy at this holiday time. The old baths have been reused as a shopping area, but the ornate ceiling has been retained. Our coach has been parked under the railway viaduct. Our Sunday morning trip was to Bakewell, which we have visited recently, so we went off to find a new interest. Bakewell is at one end of the Monsell Trail, which runs along the disused railway line to Blackwell Mill in Cheedale. Needless to say, we didn't have time to walk that far, so we found a cafe to have a coffee and then walked along the river where we saw a couple of duckling families. After Sunday lunch in the hotel, we had the afternoon free to explore a little more of Derby. This time we walked up the river following the cycle walking trail. Just round the corner was Derby Cathedral with a statue of Bonnie Prince Charlie in front. He reached the town in 1745 but was forced to withdraw after the non-appearance of French and Spanish troops. The wreaths have been laid by the Caledonian Society. We were informed by a helpful resident that the silk mill was the first to be built in England and was established in 1721 by a John Loom after he had visited Piedmont in Italy. The ornate silk mill gates are still in situ and led to the original mill. We were also informed that further along the path was the chapel on the bridge where folk used to pray before leaving the city. We did wander along a little further, but decided we had gone far enough. Our final day saw us in Stratford-on-Avon for our lunchtime stop. Just so that we would not forget that this is Shakespeare country, here was a statue of the jester from the play As You Like It. We sat outside the cafe and watched the world go by, and the busker set up his equipment. We then walked down the street in the direction of the river. As it was a bank holiday, there was much activity with music and market stalls. Shakespeare over the river. Here is a good view of the Royal Shakespeare Theatre on the other side of the river. These wheels seem to get everywhere now. We're down by the river again, but this time it's swans. I thought this statue of the swans was delightful, with a couple of men playing my sort of music. Sorry to say, it was now time to wend our way back to the coach and come home after a super 4 days holiday.